Welcome, race fans, to the Talladega Super Speedway. Tonight, we've got NMNTS BA Graphics Cup Series action for the first time on PSI TV. Tonight is just a fun race for these guys. Basically, Ryan, they're at Talladega Super Speedway for the final off-season race of the, or final, I guess, official recruiting race of the off-season for the Cup Series. And real quick, you might have heard I said Ryan, and that's a bit of a new name for PSI TV. Got to welcome Ryan Daniels up into the booth tonight. Ryan, I know you have a lot of past experience with a couple of other broadcasters, and I just got to welcome you to the booth and thank you for coming up.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's going to be exciting tonight. The first time I've been doing a broadcast in a long time, but exciting to be back at it with PSI TV, and look forward to calling the final preseason race for these Cup cars here for the NMNTS Tuesday Night Cup Series.
Now, real quick, don't want to rush, but we are a little behind, so we're just going to go straight into the grid. And on pole, we've got Jared Beasley in the number 15 Chevrolet, followed by Zach Lindgren in the number 85 to the outside of him. In third place is going to be Tyler Justice, followed by Corey Walters in fourth. We've got James McKee in the number 24 car in fifth. Bradley Wilson to his outside in sixth place, with Joseph Andujar III in seventh, Jason Alexander in eighth. And to finish off the top 10 round, we've got Spence Thompson and Jason Burgess.
Yeah, and then just behind them, give me one moment. There we go. And just behind them in the 11th starting spot, we got Kenneth Yance. In 12th, we've got Terry Mason. 13th, we got the number 27 of Trevor Harmon. 15th is going to be, or 14th rather, the 77 of Kenny Yance. The 69 of John Barron is going to start 15th. Craig Learman in 16th. Aiden Young in 17th. Ryan Broderick in 18th. Jared Wisham in 19th. Alan Westman in 20th.
And from here, the grid gets a little messed up, but we've got Clayton Kurtz in 21st, actually, not in 22nd, with Robbie Buckner to his outside in 24th, and Billy Hargrove, in 22nd, right? Anyways, you got Billy Hargrove tailing on the back end of the field. The grid gets a little messed up, Ryan, when sometimes we're registering as drivers, and
Yes.
iRacing doesn't always like to cooperate with that. But anyways, we've got... I'm not sure how many laps we've got because IRTVO is
65.
a stickler. So Ryan says 65 laps. We're going with 65 laps. The overlay is going to be down for just a moment, possibly. I'm going to try one more thing. The screens are playing tricks on me, and it's not very fair if you ask me. But we'll get it sorted out in just a moment. So, Ryan, you may have to call the start here, and we may not have a camera change. Let me see if I can get the camera changed. I can. So that's all in well.
I will do whatever you need me to do, good sir. You just let me know when to do it. As right now, we have the pace car coming out of turn 4, and these guys are double file getting ready to go.
Well, Ryan, it is all you for the call for just a moment. I believe we are on Jared Beasley now for the start of this race. Let's see if I can get the screens worked out.
Alrighty, well, Andrew gets that up and rolling. We do have the start getting ready to happen here. The 15 and the 85 are going to lead down the front row. Jared Beasley and the 15 are going to start on the pole, getting ready here for the call. And the green flag is out the 15. All of them are going to hit that loud pedal, and these boys are going to take off as they head for turn number 1 here for the first lap at Talladega.
Yeah, and already Jared Beasley, Tyler Justice, a couple of MR Motorsports drivers working together on that bottom side. I know it's early yet, only through a corner, but those guys are already going to get something going on that bottom side and pull away to a pretty good lead as Zach Lindgren has no support from Corey Walters behind, and he's going to fall back a little bit and actually playing almost bumper cars there with Tyler Justice for just a second there, Ryan.
They are. They're door banging already here on the first lap. These boys are going to be racing aggressive here. Want to get to the front early in this race. This is a 65-lap race with 3 different stages, and the first stage is only 20 laps. So if you're going to want to earn stage points like you're practicing to do for the actual season, you're going to want to get to the front in a hurry here.
Yeah, and I already kind of have an idea of what some of these guys are going to do just based on the Truck Series race that Ryan and I did last night with these guys. These guys are definitely going to try and work that top side to their advantage. And the top side on these plate tracks just kind of allows you to get a better run down the straightaways and really control the race from up there. However, the Cup cars are a bit different, so these guys are going to have to work with different conditions in these Cup cars versus the trucks that were racing last night. So we'll see as these guys try and work that top side to their advantage. You see already Zach Lindgren and a couple cars behind him, Bradley Wilson, a couple of teammates there, Corey Walters and Jason Alexander also in the top line as now Spence Thompson goes to the top. But right now, the MR Motorsports duo, Jared Beasley, Tyler Justice, just controlling this race.
Yeah, they're doing exactly what they have to do. Those two MR cars right up at the front there. They're trying to do everything they can to make sure that no matter what happens, that outside line can't overpower them. And the unfortunate part for them right now, it looks like the outside line is getting more and more help. And the more help that the outside line does get, eventually the momentum is going to swing their way and may eventually push that 85 out in front of them. But for now, the 15 and 7 have abundantly cleared that outside line, as it would seem, as they go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and the thing we'll have to think about here is actually Tyler Justice going to go to the top side, abandon Jared Beasley, and actually I think he might be trying to work with Jared as, oh, Ken Yance in the wall behind him.
And a good save by Ken Yance right there. That could have been big.
It's going to be big for him, though. He's got a lot of right side damage, and he definitely slowed the top line up a little bit trying to save that car. Actually, a lot of it. Definitely backed the top line up a ton. But what I was going to try and say there before that big moment happened is Tyler Justice goes to the top side in front of Zach Lindgren, and I think that's to try and control the race even more from the MR Motorsports perspective. I think Jared Beasley, Tyler Justice just working together to control both lines so that no matter which line progresses here in these next few early laps, they'll be in control of the race for all intents and purposes. Now you see the other point I wanted to bring up, Zach Lindgren having some connection issues. That's going to be the other thing that holds that top line back from really ever going anywhere. And we may see him eventually just back out if it gets too bad, if it continues for too long. But Ryan, I always like to kind of, whenever we see it, explain what blinking is and what netcode is on iRacing for those who may be newer to the streams. And basically what blinking or netcode is just an impurity in the connection. Now you see Zach, I think, going to the top side to let these guys go by and ensure that there isn't an accident from that connection issue. But basically blinking is when the client connection, which would be the driver's connection, and the server are a bit out of sync, and so it's unpredictable to the server to know where that car is going to be, and so it blinks all over the place. It can blink up into different lanes. You never really know. So it's a really good idea, like Zach did there, to get out of the way, let these guys keep racing without causing an accident. And netcode is similar, although there's going to be a negative space to us when we see it, but the sim will be registering two cars hitting each other, even though it doesn't look like they are. So I just wanted to get that out of the way early. Lap 5 of 65, and Ryan Jared Beasley is still out front.
Yeah, Jared Beasley continues to lead the way, and you're right on with the point there about the netcode. It's something these guys are definitely going to have to look for, especially in these Cup cars tonight. One thing I did happen to run a little bit in the practice there just to get a feel for what these guys are going to be dealing with out there. And the Cup car is really very stable here at Talladega, but if you bump at all in these corners, you are going to spin the guy in front of you. It's going to create a big, big accident, and there's no fast fixes here. So these guys can't afford to make that kind of a mistake, and it's just something we're going to have to watch out for as this race progresses. But as you said, the 15 continuing to lead, Jared Beasley basically leading from the drop of the green, and just continues to lead the way. And I'm kind of looking through the field here, trying to see if we can find some notable people that might have moved up. I think one driver we should give a call to at least is the 8 car of Clayton Kurtz. Started in the 22nd position. He now finds himself just outside the top 10.
And I just want to mention there's a big gap forming, almost a gap similar to the old days at Talladega, mid-2000s, where these guys started, or the Cup guys started to tandem draft. We see that starting to form with Jared Beasley, Jimmy McKee getting out to a pretty sizable lead, but the difference between 2009 and 2018 is the back of the field, even if they had stayed tandemed, was going to catch those guys up front pretty quickly, and we see them catch right back up, especially when Jimmy went to the top side. And just want to mention, I've broadcasted races that Jimmy has been in before. I do believe he prefers to be called Jimmy McKee rather than James McKee, so that's a bit of a note for you, Ryan, since you're new to him. But the rest of
Okay,
these
and that's
guys,
the driver of the 24.
that it is, Exalted
Okay.
Chevrolet up on the top side, sporting the William Byron look, and I really do like that car.
Yeah, it is a very nice looking machine there. That Jimmy's got running in that number 24, but he's actually doing a really good job. They're making that move up through the middle, trying to get the lead away, and now we're 3 wide up at the front here. It's getting a little bit dicey at the front of this field this early in the race.
And I want to mention one of the guys that I trust the most when it comes to plate racing, Bradley Wilson, up on the top side right now, making it 3 wide around the MR Motorsports middle line, bringing Spence Thompson, a teammate, Clayton Kurtz, a teammate, and Zach Lindgren, a teammate, around the top side, trying to make it work right now. And so far, they've gotten all the way up into clean air. They were just alongside of Tyler Justice. So with Tyler Justice out in front, getting clean air himself, Bradley and the WFO crew has to know what they're doing right now. They're definitely working it pretty good. You can see the top line is still pretty dusty. In the NMNTS, these guys start the tracks off with pretty decent usage, especially for the Cup Series races. So that's why it's pretty dusty up there. But yeah, out of that corner, you see exactly what we've been talking about. Just the momentum coming out of turns 2 and 4 is just so great for the top line that it's really the best place to be on a plate track.
It certainly seems that way right now as well, but the only thing that I will say, more cars have decided now to get back to that bottom lane, and when it's that 3 wide like it is right now, and you have that middle lane as well, they're splitting it. It's going to be very difficult for Bradley and that group to probably take the lead here. They're doing a very good job, and the smart thing they're doing is staying above that white dotted line up on the top, giving as much space as they can to the bottom so that these guys don't run the risk of all causing a big wreck right now. So some pretty smart driving by all of these guys, especially considering we've been 3 wide now for about 3 laps or so.
Yeah, and we saw bobble a little further back around the 10th position. That was Jason Alexander in the white number 5 car. I pulled up his some of his info here on the left side of the screen, so you can see that now. He's got some left front damage, some left door damage as well. He may have made contact with teammate Jason Burgess to the inside. Not totally sure, but we saw a bit of a bobble from him about a lap ago now, so just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, these guys, everyone's going to get a little bit of damage, I would say, too, making a little bit of a bobble and whatnot. It's going to happen throughout this field, and that's part of keeping your heads up when it comes to this kind of racing. It's not easy to do what they're doing when they're running 3 wide like this, and these guys are doing a really good job of not running each other over or anything silly this early in the race.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out to every driver in the field right now, running 3 wide up at the front, 4 cars deep, both on the top and the middle. This is just great racing right now. Really close racing. You'll see the middle line sometimes move down to try and side draft on the bottom. Sometimes you might see some door bangs, but that comes with this kind of racing. It comes with 3 wide racing, especially in the Cup cars where it's so hard to actually get a run on one another. So this is very good racing right now. You see the middle and bottom lanes get a huge shift in momentum. They're moving forward, and that top lane, the WFO chain, still hanging tough on the top side but falling back.
Yeah, and it's like I said before, it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be comers and goers in this race, and these lines are going to keep shifting. We saw just that last lap, Tyler Justice take the lead up the middle, getting help from the 28, and now he finds himself on the bottom lane. The middle lane appears to be stalling out, and now here comes the momentum again up top for the WFO teammates. So, but we've got the 8 in the wall, and a good move by the 85 to get around it, but the 8 car is still in the wall. Clayton Kurt's going to lose a lot of spots right here.
And that's unfortunate for Clayton Kurtz and the whole WFO chain, and he's going to fall all the way to the back of the field. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep the draft either, because it's really hard to actually maintain the draft in one of these Cup cars. May not seem like it when you have 3 wide ahead of you, but it's really hard to maintain the draft. So, I mean, I think he'll be able to keep up, but he's got some right front damage, so that's going to hurt him as well. We'll see. I think he's starting to neutralize there, and he'll catch right back up, but it's dangerous when you start falling that far back that quickly.
Yeah, definitely. It's not something you want to have happen at all. And the good thing there for Clayton, to an extent, was when he got in the wall, he was so far up near the front that by the time that minor contact that he had, that he was able to recover from it, the end of the field was right there with him. So he was able to kind of latch onto the back, and he hasn't really lost this draft. He's trying to catch back up to the back end of the 77 of Kenny Yance. And try to get himself back up with this main group, but it could have definitely been a lot worse for the 8 there, Clayton Kurtz.
Yeah, and he's actually, it looks like, going to be able to just barely keep up, like you said, with Kenny Yance, a newbie to the NMNTS racing family. We've got to welcome him in as he, I believe, has been overseas serving our country. So definitely got to thank him for doing so. And I also got to call attention to another veteran here in the series. Let me get this out of the way. Joseph Andujar. Haven't had the pleasure of calling him in one of these races just yet, but I got to mention real quick that this guy has been overseas for the better part of a year now, until just this past month or so when he was able to come back home to the States. And got to thank him for doing what he does in the Army. Just a really cool guy overall, and right now doing pretty good so far in this race. He hasn't been back very long, but he's been doing pretty good in that NVIDIA G4 Chevrolet. And yeah, once again, just got to thank him and all of our other servicemen and women for doing what they do.
Yeah, definitely got to thank all those military folks out there, especially those here that race with us that help protect our freedoms and make all of this possible for us. They're over there risking their lives, and we're here racing on our computers. So definitely could be a lot worse, and appreciate all that those guys do. But out here in this field right now, I just did want to report we are coming to the 5 to go mark for the end of the stage. So I would say if these guys are going to want to get to the front and get stage points, business is about to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, and I've been steadily paying attention to the rebirth almost of that top line, and well, WFO Motorsports guys are trying to still make it work, but it's starting to fall apart. You see they're about to just fall in behind the middle line again. It's getting really tough for these guys, it looks like, on the older tires to actually get up there and make it work. Normally you wouldn't think about tires making a difference, but sometimes you'll scrub more speed, and when you're on the top side as it is, it's not exactly the best place to be. So I think the far top side might be a little too extreme for these guys right now, but we'll see as this race progresses what they can manage to do up there, as we have eclipsed I believe the first 15 laps of the race, as you mentioned there, Ryan. So you'll see now 50 laps to go. And as Ryan mentioned, there are stages in this race. What that means is after the predetermined amount of laps for each stage, there will be a caution. Now, obviously, after the third stage, just like in NASCAR, it'll be the end of the race. However, I believe you said it was 20, 20, and 15 here tonight, or 25.
It's, to be perfectly honest, it was a very strange combination. I will be listening into the driver's chat at the end of the stage so that I can get the proper number for the end of the second stage.
All right, I think it would be 20, 20, and 25 if the first two stages are 20 and 20 each. But anyways, these guys are starting to really spread out, surprisingly enough. I'm not really seeing the same kind of pack racing as we had earlier. Obviously, you still have this very large pack all the way around this 2.66 mile speedway. But they've kind of spread out and they've got more tame. It's really just a too wide pack now.
Yeah, and that could definitely be a product of what you just talked about, though, the tire wear. And that's because, we talked about this track being 60% rubbered in already when these boys took the green. That's a lot of grip on the bottom, and as we can see, the top line is starting to come in and get a little bit darker from the guys that were running up there before. The drivers who are on the bottom aren't going to have a significant tire wear as those guys up front, but it's going to make those guys that were trying to go 3 wide, 2 wide earlier up top a lot harder for them to continue to do it. So they're going to have to start fighting to stay in line even this early in the run.
And as we're on board with Jared Wishon here, he's kind of mired back most of the way back through this pack right now, racing with Zach Lindgren, Billy Hargrove, and some others right now. I believe in about the 12th position in that number 96 Ford, and right now just really nowhere to go. You can see you could try and go up the middle of these two lines, but you have to have a lot of help to be able to do that, and even then, it's going to be really, really tough. So it's really just kind of wait and see what you can do. I'm surprised that we're still packed up like we are. Normally in these Cup cars this long into a run, you see them just single file out. I think you can agree with that there, Ryan, is when you watch these guys in the Carburetor Cup races, they often just get single file. But I'm very, very surprised and very happy to see these guys running double file still.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting that these guys have been able to do it, and I think there's a couple contributing factors to that. I would say that the track having the grip that it has definitely helped, because having the grip up top allows for an outside line to form rather quickly, and with these Cup cars, they need that to be able to get the momentum and be able to keep with that inside line if they're going to make a charge. And I'll come back to this point in a moment, as we're 3 wide for the lead again. with the 28 trying to move up, and now we've got the 18 getting the run up top with a push from the 89 as well.
Yeah, and you're seeing the WFO guys make that move that they have to make to try and make something happen as we're coming to, I believe, possibly the white flag on the stage.
I believe it's checkered on the stage actually. So
all right,
so for the stage win.
So white flag on the stage already out. These guys are coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in stage number 1. You see Corey Walters trying to work that top side, keep Bradley Wilson from getting an advantage, but he's got Jason Alexander to worry about as well. The bottom line going to pull away, though, with the stage win. Tyler Justice going to come home in his home state at his home track with the stage win and the number 7 SimSpec PC Towers Chevrolet. And that is the end of the stage. Corey Walters, I believe, in second. It looks like Jimmy McKee possibly in third place. Bradley Wilson in fourth will actually kick up the results right here. Looks like Jason Alexander will nab fifth place in the stage. Jared Beasley in sixth. Spence Thompson in seventh. Craig Lehrman in eighth. Zach Lindgren going to come home for stage number 1 in ninth position, with Joseph Andujar in 10th.
And obviously the top 10 are all the positions that matter in the stage. That's where all the points would be awarded. So those 10 drivers would be awarded stage points if this counted towards that, which it will during the regular season. And these guys are going to catch the pace car, it looks like here, probably when they get through turn 2, I would say, Andrew. And you think everybody's going to come down and take 4 tires here?
You know, I wouldn't put it past somebody to stay out, honestly. I don't think it would be the worst idea to possibly stay out, try and play some strategy here, and get up to the front if they're further back. But I think everyone up in the front will probably come in on this first caution, and possibly the next one we have. The reason I say that is you can go I say about loosely, about 40 to 43 laps on a set of tires and a tank of gas here. So obviously you can stretch the tires a little bit longer. iRacing hasn't fully modeled the tires as NASCAR tires would be, but, and I say but for a reason, you can stretch them for quite a ways, but they'll lose all their grip. You won't really be able to contend. I think a lot of these guys are probably going to come in this time. I don't know. I don't see the advantages of staying out here, Ryan.
No, and I don't either, especially considering right now it's lap 22. They are going to come into the pits right now, more than likely, and when we restart, there's probably going to be right around 40 laps to go. Based on the information you just gave us, which is probably accurate, about 40 to 45 laps or so is going to be a fuel window in these Cup cars. So this is a one-stop race. This is your chance to come get fuel and tires, and you may not stop the rest of this race.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a caution right about the center of this next run to the end of the stage, these guys may be able to stretch it all the way to the end of the race. You see Bradley Wilson miss his box a tiny bit. He actually stopped a little bit early. But yeah, back to the train of thought that I just lost. Yeah, I mean, these guys can maybe get a caution in the middle of this next stage and try and stretch it out to the end, but I think it's going to be kind of risky to do that simply for the sake of tires. It doesn't seem normally like something you're going to want to keep in mind at Talladega, but just being totally frank, we saw, I think tires were starting to matter even after just 15 laps up on the top side. Bradley Wilson and his teammates couldn't really get a big run up on the top side like they were early in the race. So I haven't driven these cars here in a while, but I think tires are actually starting to matter in these Cup cars at these plate tracks.
Yeah, it definitely would appear that way. I mean, these guys had that long run there. Well, I won't call it necessarily a long run, but they had a decent run there, and you could tell, the longer it went, the harder it was for them to maintain running that top lane. Now, with fresh tires, we're going to be able to see that again, and this time, it may be even better for the outside lane on fresh tires. We might be able to see these guys take it 3 wide on the restart and might be able to get to the lead.
Yeah, I really want to see if the WFO pack gets back up to the top side, can clean that top side off, and actually start putting some rubber down, because even under caution, you can see the black 2 lanes of rubber, pretty much, through the very bottom lane between the yellow line and the first dotted line, and then in the center of the track, there's a good amount of rubber there as well. Now, iRacing simulates track wear when you started out for a race. So if you started out at a random percentage, whatever you want it to be, iRacing simulates that track wear. That doesn't always mean it's going to be totally accurate to what everyone would run. So I think if we actually see the WFO pack go back to the top side on this restart, they may put enough rubber down to actually make that top side worth it come the end of the race. But it's going to take them actually sitting up there and running and nursing that line almost like a dirt track. So we'll see what these guys can do. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what they do on this restart. But I think, Ryan, I'll let you pick out our first interviewee of the night.
I'm just reading in the chat, and someone says they don't have volume.
They don't have volume.
Yes, I ain't got volume. I don't know if that means somebody can't hear us.
I believe that was a while ago at the start of the stream, so I don't believe that's an issue anymore.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The chat on my phone inverted for it, so now, instead of it being the most recent on the bottom, it's now the first one.
Alrighty, so I think
That
we're
was
still
the problem.
good. So, Ryan, I'll let you go through the NMNTS TeamSpeak and pick out our first interviewee driver of the night.
Well, I mean, I think we got to talk to Jared Beasley and see how that car was running for him. He led a lot of laps in that first segment.
Then I'll drag him on up.
I can find him. He's right. What? I thought he was in here.
Yeah, I've got him in the interview waiting booth, so I'll move him up in just a moment. Jared Beasley, this is Andrew Cardinale in the PSI TV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, Andrew, I got you.
Well, Jared, honestly, just a great run from you and your MR Motorsports teammates in that first stage right there. You guys really controlled the whole dynamic of that first stage, and I believe it was Tyler Justice with the stage win. How does it feel out there tonight, and do you think tires are actually going to start coming into play at plate tracks with these Cup cars?
The car's feeling great. I mean, really, you could put this thing anywhere, which here at Talladega is not that hard. But tires, I mean, I took 4 just to be sure, but I don't think tires are going to be a huge factor here. But I'm sure it will have a little bit of an impact, be a little bit better. But hopefully we can get this thing up there and win this thing.
Sounds great, man. Well, real quick, before we let you go and get back to your day job here, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to before the second stage of this Talladega race?
I got to give a big shout out to MR Motorsports, all the guys there, and the sponsors, Extreme Lawn Care and JB Paints, do a lovely job. That's pretty much it.
Sounds great, man. Well, thanks for your time out here tonight, and best of luck to you in that number 15 Chevrolet the rest of the night.
All right, appreciate it, Andrew.
And again, that was Jared Beasley. Now, I think if these guys are still at 2 to green, Ryan, actually, no, they are 1 to green. I see the 28 there to the inside of Jared. So I was going to say we can get another one, but we'll have to wait till the next caution. So we've got almost 100 viewers out there. I saw we went up to 101. That's incredible to me to do on Facebook Live just on a random stream. So that's great. But to you 90 viewers still out there, comment with the driver that you want us to talk to next, and you can also suggest some questions if you have any for any of these drivers down in the chat, and we'll try and ask those drivers whatever questions you have for them. But we're going green in just under a lap here, Ryan, and based on that first little stint there, what do you think is going to happen in these next about 15 laps, I think, to the end of the stage?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at a couple of different things, and when I look at what just happened there on the pit stops, obviously we have a new leader. Corey Walters is now the leader in his number 28 Texaco Toyota, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. You're right, those WFO drivers are likely going to try to work together and get back to the front, but the highest running one I'm seeing right now is Spence Thompson in third, and then Bradley Wilson's to his outside, but there's not much in the way of help for them for a number of rows back now. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to try to orchestrate it and get back to the front.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how, I believe Trevor Harmon and Terry Mason would be the first 2 Alliance drivers with WFO, how they can get through 2 solid rows of solid drivers to get up to Bradley and Spence to try and really make something happen up front. But we've got a couple of suggestions talk to the 20, or no, actually go number 28. So we got one suggestion for future interviews, Ryan. We've got to talk to one of the vets tonight, and I hadn't even thought of that, but that's definitely a good point. And as these guys come down to the green flag, it's your call on the restart.
Alrighty, well, these guys are going to come into the trial, and it looks like already those two MR cars are going to try to get a little bit of a jump together on the rest of everybody, and they took off. Those two teammates up front were orchestrating that front row pretty well, and behind them, those two WFO cars trying to get one behind the other, but not going to be able to do it just quite yet, and the rest of the field is going to get a huge run on the 28 and the 15 because of that.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, because I tried that same strategy from Corey Walters' position last night in the truck race, they're going to get swallowed up quick. And I also want to mention, in the NMNTS, the league restart rules are that you can go anytime after the pace car dips into the pit lane to the iRacing given green flag. Now, you see these guys getting single file. Bradley Wilson's going to fall all the way back to about 10th, 15th position, somewhere around there. Actually, he gets in line in front of Terry Mason. Not a surprise there. However, what is a surprise is that these guys didn't immediately pass Jared Beasley and Corey Walters. So I'm clapping over my mic. That is a great move by those two to just get single file here and try and get some laps into the end of the stage, race it out later. I did not expect them to work that out like they did, but great move from Corey Walters and Jared Beasley at MR Motorsports to make that work.
Yeah, a very good move by them, and you know how that really factored in for them. They caught the field so off guard with that move that it spread the entire field out, and we went from double file to a completely single file field first to last right now, all the way through the pack. So, I mean, it's just a really good move on the part of those two drivers to get that to work in their favor, and just, I guess sometimes luck just really works for you. That's all I can say, I guess, on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a great move, and yeah, I think if you're going to pull that restart move to go before the green flag when everyone is expecting you to go, I think you really have to do it that early, because otherwise I think they're too ready for that restart move. And you see how that, we were talking about how the WFO guys were going to get sorted out. WFO has a couple of teams to work with. Riot Motorsports is out in the field as well tonight, but that's all the help they've got. And Bradley Wilson on that restart lost a ton of positions. Now, Spence Thompson in third place, he was already in the bottom. He worked that out pretty well for himself. He stayed in third place, and now he's racing just behind Jared Beasley into the inside of Tyler Justice. Actually, he might be trying to go to the top side, but, just there's no help for him. I mean, he's in between a bunch of other teams. He's in between a bunch of MR drivers, a bunch of, I believe, HRL drivers. He's got no friends right now, all the way back to Bradley Wilson, who's a couple of rows back, and these guys are pretty much single file, so there's just no help. I don't know how the WFO guys are going to play this one, but they've really got to start working on something here.
Well, the saving grace, I think, for the WFO drivers, if you look on the inside, you have the 18, 75, and 85 lined up on the bottom. Behind them, another associate of WFO, the 27 of Trevor Harmon, is starting to catch up. And that small trio there, the 27, 69, and number 9, being in a line, has now pulled the line led by the 13 and 77 up to this group as well. So this whole main pack, within about a lap or so, maybe 2 laps, will be back as one big group again, and those WFO drivers will have a good opportunity to get rehooked together.
But you know what I think we may see in these coming laps is I think it may be hard for them to actually really pack up in the sense that, they'd be double wide throughout. I think they'll obviously all connect, all be in one chain, but I think it's going to be tough in these cup cars to really make something happen on the top side until we get either the stage breaker or caution, whichever comes first.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens, and unfortunately, I didn't catch what lap number the next caution is for this, but if it is only 20 laps, and we have 10 to go this time by at the stage, but if it is not, then we might have a few more than that.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do for our viewers out there is we're going to give a safe guess of saying that Stage 2 is also 20 laps. I don't see them deviating from that distance between Stages 1 and 2. So we're going to assume that it's going to be 20 laps long, which means we have 10 laps to go in stage number 2. And Ryan, you see the WFO guys now working that top side. They got there a lot quicker than I ever expected. Spence Thompson leading the top side in the AC Delco number 89 Chevrolet with Zach Lindgren just behind him. Bradley Wilson also in tow with, it looks like, Terry Mason and Tyler Justice, which is kind of interesting to me.
Yes, and also on that top line, it's now even double file all the way through the basically the top 12 cars, all side by side, and another car that's back there that can definitely assist these WFO cars, as we mentioned before, is the 27 of Trevor Harmon, who is on the bottom. He's kind of separated from that group, but as you mentioned there, Andrew, all those WFO cars finding their way back on the outside again, and with even numbers in both lanes at this point, they might be able to make this work now up top.
And you see already Spence Thompson, Zach Lindgren pulling ahead. They're going to bring Bradley Wilson along, and I think what they may want to do for the sake of that top line is possibly get one of those Toyotas out front. Now, there are a couple of aerodynamic advantages to each car, and I think the Toyota is probably the best at leading a line, but you're also seeing the horsepower from those WFO Toyotas really push that Chevy of Spence Thompson out front. So, I mean, they're continuously proving me wrong tonight. I think these Cup cars really got a good reworking from iRacing over the winter break, and I think that's what's causing a lot of these misconceptions by both of us, really, mostly by myself, I'll admit, but really by both of us. It seems like these cars are really acting in a couple of different ways than at least I expected, and I think you expected as well, Ryan, because I did not expect them to immediately get double file like this, and I definitely did not expect WFO to already be pulling a pretty decent lead on the top side, and that's only going to increase if the bottom line can't get sorted out.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to get in the favor of the outside line there, and it's like you said, they definitely reworked these cars in some form, because as we mentioned at the top of the show, these Cup cars used to be horrible. You used to only be able to run single file basically the whole race at these plate tracks. You just could not race side by side with them at all. Now, obviously, we can see that has completely changed. And yes, there are advantages to each car, and each one is a little bit different in their own way. I would say, like you said, the Toyotas are better at leading. Chevrolets are pretty average at just about everything, but they're really good pushers. And Fords make the best kind of pusher that I've been able to find. And I drive Toyota, so I happen to know that if a Toyota and a Ford at any point in this race could get hooked up, that could be a very potent combination.
And to that point, actually, the highest Ford that I see is going to be Aiden Young in the number 9 Hope for Pause Ford Fusion there. I believe it's the charity on the hood, Hope for Pause, I think. But definitely a very good cause, no matter what on that hood, whatever the name is. You said Hope for Pause is correct?
Yes, sir. It's Hope for Paws Animal Rescue Organization.
Yeah, so definitely check them out over social media if you can. That's Hope for Paws. One more time, Hope for Paws. Definitely a very good cause on that number 9, and I believe they'll be supporting Jaeger Racing throughout the 2018 season. So, got to give a shout out there. He's the highest Ford, though, and he's right around the 10th position. If we go further back, the only other Ford that I've even seen in the field tonight is going to be Jared Washon in the number 96. Also a very nice paint scheme. This, though, a tribute to the great Robert Yates, who was just inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So definitely a very cool paint scheme there. And I believe that's based on, I think that's the exact paint scheme that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. drove in the NASCAR Cup Series this past fall at Phoenix International Raceway. And we got a few questions out in the chat, Ryan, so we'll see if we can get to these before these guys get into the latter stages of the stage.
Alrighty. And real quick, before you get to that point, just so nobody feels left out, I did take a quick search through the field. You were right. We do have the number 9 of Aiden Young is in a Ford tonight. The number 96 of Jared Washon is in a Ford, and the 69 of John Barron is in a Ford as well.
Okay, I actually hadn't even noticed that John Barron was here. He's been so quiet all night, but you actually see him in, honestly, a pretty good spot. If these guys are ahead of him, he's going to be the first one to get there that isn't immediately on top of it. So he actually may be in the best spot to miss any wreck that happens ahead of him as the stage enters its final few laps here. But real quick, before these guys really get battling up front, Alex Fisher asking how they're controlling the cars. This is on the iRacing.com Motorsport Simulator, and they all have their own computer on which they downloaded the iRacing sim, and they all have wheels. I believe everyone in this field has a pretty much top-notch sim steering wheel and pedals to control these race cars with. So it's relatively realistic. It's about as good as you can get without being in a real race car, Ryan. Another question, this from Austin Frank. Are there how do you broadcast this? Like, are there just preset camera views y'all switch between? I actually set all of these cameras up myself. I think I might have kept a couple of certain angles between different packs from iRacing, but iRacing does actually provide a pretty decent set of cameras on their own, but at least all of the in-car camera angles I set myself. I actually go through and kind of laboriously go through all these different cameras to give you guys what I think will be great camera angles throughout the race. We see one on the 28 now, and we'll kick up another one as we talk about this, but this is maybe not the best, but it just kind of shows out the front windshield. We'll throw up another, this one looking out the right door. And yeah, Don Russell just praising how crazy this is and how crazy good, hopefully, he feels this is. I think it's really cool stuff. Keith Scalia out in the chat asking how you get hooked up with a good league. Well, you all just got to have the right connections. Definitely head over to the NMNTS Racing Series. Even if you can't get into one of the top 3 tiers, that would be the Sunday night super late models, the Monday night trucks, and the Tuesday night Cup cars. There will be a Thursday night farm league for the NMNTS Racing Series, and that will be the primary way for 2019 to get into the top series of the NMNTS, and that is the SimSpec Truck Series. So, if you're interested in a top-notch league, head over to the NMNTS Racing Series. They are tagged in the post that I made for this stream, and I believe these guys are coming to the white flag on the stage here, Ryan.
Yes, they are. It will be white flag this time by as they, or white flag at the stage rather, this time by as the 85 of Zach Linder are going to give a big shove right now to the 89 of Spence Thompson, really trying to get that Chevrolet to the lead. But as we've seen and as we noted, the Toyotas are very good at leading, and it's been all the 28 leading so far on that bottom.
Oh, and there's a crash behind. That was Alan Westman.
The 9's involved.
We saw Alan Westman go around. Well. Clayton Kurtz as well. He's down in the infield. It doesn't look like he has too much damage, but definitely spun out. Looks like he's a victim of this wreck. Aiden Young, unfortunately, with a lot of damage to his number 9 Ford. Oh, man, this really is unfortunate for these guys back here that just got collected in that one. Really, Aiden Young, I think, is the worst one off. I haven't seen the 78 yet, or the 17, whichever one it was, but I haven't seen where Alan Westman has fallen. He is actually in the pits. It looks like he may be done for the night, at least for a little while. Try and get a look at his car. He's got some heavy right front damage. I'm not sure how badly damaged that car is, but really I think the worst off out of this whole shebang here, if you will, would be Aiden Young. A lot of damage, Ryan.
Yeah, and the 17 isn't going to be much better off either. I've gone back and found the replay, and it looks like just one of those circumstances where it was an accordion effect. Everybody kind of checked up on the inside, and the 17 just got turned by accident, obviously, and kicked him up into the front of the field, and that 17 hit the wall a ton. The 9, nowhere to go except into the 17, and just carnage from there.
Now there is, real quick, before we go over the stage results and then the replay of that wreck, Ryan Newman asking if there's any money up for these guys. I don't believe so tonight, but in the season there will be a lot of cash prizes that these guys can win, as well as a top-notch computer from SimSpec PC Towers. Check them out if you're looking to get into sim racing, or if you're already in sim racing looking to upgrade your experience. Definitely check out SimSpec PC Towers on Facebook. And I believe they have a website. I don't personally have that on hand. I think it's sim-spec.com. Could be wrong. We'll try and get that confirmed. Actually, if you can message Ken, Ryan, that would be great.
For the link to the website?
Yes, please. Don Russell asking if this is the new NASCAR game. This is iRacing.com, so this is not the NASCAR game. This is a simulator based on PC that has NASCAR content, thankfully, as well as many other pieces of content. Now we're going to get into the replay. You see these guys are at Talladega. There are many other tracks to run. Every major track on the NASCAR circuit, I think every track on the NASCAR circuit is on iRacing, even Eldora. So with the addition of dirt this year, that's very cool to see, and we're going to get the replay finally up on the screen. Obviously, Alan Westman was kind of the worst off in that wreck. The first one to get turned around, unfortunately, in that number 17 Bass Pro Shops Toyota Camry. We're going to watch here now. He was just in front of Tyler Justice in the number 7, and I believe it's going to be a bad bump from the 7 to the 17. Definitely a bad bump on the right rear that gets the 17 hooked around, spun around, and then there's just nowhere to go for a couple of drivers behind him. Aiden Young, mostly, I think, is going to be the worst off that wasn't named Alan Westman. He got the 17 as he was spinning and got hit from behind, I believe, both by the 8 and the 69. So we're going to take another look at that. We're going to watch as Aiden Young tries to navigate his way through this wreck. You see him immediately, unfortunately, get collected and then just got hit from the 69. The 27 did a great job of missing him as well as the 13. Clayton Curse, unfortunately, not quite as lucky. He'll get some right front damage and go for a spin.
Yeah, that's for sure, and it was definitely unfortunate there. And in just a moment, I found it's not working. Oh no, I found what I needed for you, but it's not going to let me send it to you because my phone's going to die.
Well, we'll get that during the next green flag run, but real quick, there were guys wanting to talk to one or both. We'll try and get to both of the vets. First, we're going to try and talk to Joseph Andujar. I know he's been in this league for a long time, so I definitely want to get him on the chat first.
I got him.
So if you can bring him up into the interview waiting booth first, that'd be great.
Yep.
And whenever you're ready, Ryan, actually, if you want to take point on this interview, I'll let you.
Joseph Andujar, this is Ryan Daniels up in the PSI TV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir, I do. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Fantastic, man. It's good to be back behind the wheel with these guys.
Well, it's absolutely great to see you out there behind the wheel of that number 13 Chevrolet, and we had a audience request to pull you up here. Some folks wanted us to talk to you based on the fact that you did the most amazing thing you can and serve for our country, and we thank you for that. And we're just wondering, how's that number 13 Chevrolet feeling for you so far in this race?
Out freaking standing. First, thank you very much for your support. I really do appreciate it, and thanks for all the guys in the league for being there and my family while I was gone, and being the a group of guys that I can always rely on, being able to vent to and talk to. But as far as the car, we're running great. Just got to get track position on our side, and just keep the nose clean and just be there at the end.
Well, you've definitely done a good job of that so far. You started in the 7th. You find yourself there right now with, obviously what's just going to be probably about 20 laps to go, and you guys take the final restart here, or what could be the final restart. And we know that these cars all have strengths and disadvantages, each manufacturer. What have you found so far with your car? Maybe something that can help you try to make your move to the front at the end of this race?
Confidence. I can put this Chevy SS where I want it, and it's going to stick it there. It handles like a dream. It may not be the fastest on the track, but I think that being that I can put it where I want it, it can handle the moves that I need to make it or need to make. I think that's what's going to put me where I need to be at to get the checker.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you for your feedback there. And before I let you go, I'm going to let Andrew ask you something here, and then we'll let you get back down there with the rest of the Riot Motorsports team.
10-4, thanks.
Hey, Joe. Just wanted to once more, like I've done on Facebook a million times, thank you for what you do, as well as Kenny Yance. Got to thank you guys for just putting it all on the line and serving our country. Tell you what, that takes some pretty grande cojones. So just got to thank you once more for doing what you do, and it's really nice to have you back out here in the field and in the WFO Alliance, and it's really cool to see you doing pretty good so far tonight. Best of luck to you personally. Maybe I shouldn't have you on the mind, but hopefully you end up at least somewhere towards the front. And yeah, like Ryan mentioned, we had a request to talk to some of the vets out there tonight. So again, just thank you for doing what you do, and really nice to have you back.
Andrew, thank you very much, and man, you're doing a great job up there in the booth. Can't wait to watch the replay and watch the broadcast. Thank you very much for your support. I know we talked a bunch when I was overseas, and that little bit even helped me. I can't be more grateful for having such great friends Great competition to race against. So thank you guys, and looking forward to putting this the Riot number 13 Chevy up front for you.
Sounds great. We'll move you back down. And yeah, once more, best luck here. Pull those belts tight one more time. It's the final stage of Talladega. And again, that was Joseph Andujar. Got to thank him one more time. And got to thank Ryan for coming up, just kind of on the spot. We talked about this a small amount today, but just in one day we got this organized to get you up here. So Ryan, got to thank you as well for coming up and helping me out with this race tonight. Some comments out in the chat asking for us to do this more in the future, and I can tell you that is going to happen. As Ryan knows, PSI TV has landed a couple of deals with the NMNTS and other leagues, so definitely keep an eye out on PSI TV. If you have not already, make sure to leave us a like on Facebook. You can even go to our YouTube channel, PSI TV, and subscribe for the archived races. And actually, every Sunday morning for the next little while, we're going to have some super late model races with some very different faces. A bunch of guys from the good old continent across the pond. That's going to be Europe. We'll be racing in some super late models on oval tracks very, very soon. Keep a lookout for that on YouTube. And Ryan, they're coming back to the green flag. You have the call.
Yeah, they are coming back to the green flag. We do have a new leader on this restart, Ryan Broderick in the number 32 Arizona Green Tea Toyota Camry is going to lead the way down, and they're going to be double file side by side. That 89 of Spence Thompson going to restart on the outside, and they're coming to the green here in just a moment. And the green flag is out. They all get on the gas really, really hard here. And it looks like those WFO cars are going to try to make some room up top. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 85 try to move to the top here by the time they get into turn one.
Yeah, Bradley Wilson, actually, he's going to tuck in behind. I thought Bradley Wilson was going to go up top with Spence Thompson and possibly Zach Linderman. Actually, Spence is going to fall back. Zach is going to stay on the bottom line. They may be just going for it at this point. They may be throwing teams out the window, but we've got just over 20 laps to go and some more questions when y'all going back to South Boston. We don't have any idea just yet. Actually, the super late model schedule is released on the NMNTS Facebook page. And then another one asking, that's Zachary Watson asking, what class is needed to race in this league? I believe once you get up to a D or a C class, you can apply to the NMNTS Racing Series via the iRacing League directory, and you can check these guys out. Very worth it. If you have any questions, you can also message them on Facebook, the NMNTS Racing Series page. So I think Michael is out there. Michael, if you are still an admin of that page, make sure to comment as that page if you can. That would definitely help these guys out so they can go straight to the NMNTS page. And already this field getting pretty spread out here, Ryan, but that top line, the WFO drivers already starting to come back.
Yeah, they are. They're working hard on the outside trying to get that lead back. And I wanted to let you know, I messaged you the link to the NMNTS Racing Series website in your PMs on Facebook if you wanted to share it to the chat if possible. My phone died, but I was able to do that just in time.
All right, we'll do. I'll try and get that in the chat in just a moment. Zach Lindgren is now your new leader up front. That number 85 Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry is now out front at Talladega Superspeedway. He made a great move down the back straightaway to get that lead from Mark Broderick, and now actually Spence Thompson and Bradley Wilson trying to make something work. Actually going to fall back on the top side a little bit. Oh, contact in the back!
And it's a big crash. It's the 72's involved, the 27's around as well, and it also looks like the 75 of Terry Mason was involved big time as well. The 75 is destroyed.
Yeah, that Pringles machine definitely has been crunched. I don't think he's going to be continuing on after that one. He's got no front end. He'll be in the pits for a little while. He probably has the meatball flag, as we call it, amongst ourselves to come in and get those repairs made. Ken Yance also with heavy damage to his number 72 Underfunded Motorsports Toyota Camry. You see Trevor Harmon as well with a lot of damage in the Jeff Dunham machine. Man, that was a big wreck. Aiden Young, more damage. I think Billy Hargrove was involved. Man, that was a really big one, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm working to get a full list for you here of all the cars that did receive damage there. It looks like the list starts with the 27, or the whole accident actually starts when we go back to look at it. The 02 and the 72 make contact, and that's where it all begins. So it starts there, but once involved, it's the 72, the 02, the 27, the 75, the 23 is involved. The 09 does get a piece. The 24 gets some big damage on it. And the 8 of Clayton Kurtz may have also gotten a piece of that as well.
Yeah, I think really Ken and Billy just kind of got into each other, then got into each other again. Just the instability of these race cars here at Talladega Super Speedway, I think led to that one. I think they both kind of just washed into each other at first, and then more contact was made, I think, as these cars were a little bit unstable, and that's why you saw them hit again and ultimately end up wrecking. Unfortunately, that shot Ken immediately into Trevor Harmon. That's what actually starts the wreck. Then you see Terry Mason immediately shot into the fence really, really hard. Jimmy McKee, I think, gets some damage out of it, and then number 24. Really just a huge wreck in the back. Not even in the front, where these guys are really racing hard, but in the back this time.
Yeah, just one of those things that kind of happens here at these plate tracks. Those guys were just a little bit too close for comfort, and it didn't pay off. And unfortunately, for those guys who were just trying to hang it out the back, that's not really what you want to see. And just one of those things. Unfortunately, it happens in racing, and hopefully most of them will be able to get those fenders beaten back out and get back on the racetrack and finish this thing up. Because next time by, we're gonna have, or by the time we restart, we're gonna have just about 15 to go.
Yeah, and that's some heavy damage actually to Jimmy McKee's number 24. I didn't think it was as serious as it is, but you can see a lot of front end damage, and you saw the impact there on that final replay. That's a lot of damage to that number 24. I'm not sure if he'll be competitive after that one. But looks like Gary Urbani out in the chat saying hello. Well, hello, sir, and hello, everyone else. The other 135 people out there watching. That's really awesome to see. This is by far the best we've had on PSI TV. So I got to thank you, Ryan, for, I think, bringing a good amount of these viewers in. Just, with your shares of the race. And to everyone else out there watching, I think there was another one out there who shared this to one of his groups. Let me get the name real quick to shout him out. Looks like Richard Quinn is the name. Thank you for sharing it to your group. Thank you to everyone else for sharing this amongst yourselves. And real quick, I think, is Kenny Yance in the chat? Looks like he is not.
He is not, but I was going to suggest, why don't we talk to a driver that has already been involved in an accident this evening.
I'm going to guess Aiden Young.
Wow, I wasn't necessarily going to say Aiden Young. Maybe one of the other ones that just got into a crash. But
Ryan, I know you. You were hinting Aiden Young.
I know. I was actually looking at 75 of Terry Mason, but that's okay.
Well, real quick, I'll let you choose whoever you want to bring up. Bring them into the admin booth. Not the admin booth. The interviewing booth. And just let me know who you brought up. There's a couple of questions. Darren Meeks asking where we're going green. There's, I think, a couple more laps of caution, then we'll go back green. Anthony Casillo asking if iRacing is worth it. In my opinion, yes. Clearly, if we're broadcasting this, I think it is definitely worth it. You'll see everything you've got to see here. Kind of a taste of the iRacing action. And really, there's a lot more that this doesn't even show. I ran the iRacing Daytona 24 over the weekend, and that's definitely a place where I'm going to keep sticking my nose. I think it's a lot of fun. Let's see. First time watching this series from Shannon Sykes. We'll definitely tune in some more. Gotta really urge you guys to like the Facebook page here, PSI TV, and come back in the future. Ryan, do you have a driver to interview picked out?
I do, and it is, in fact, I think 75 Terry Mason.
All right, we'll bring him up.
Okay.
Terry Mason, this is Andrew Cardinal in the PSI TV booth. Do you have a copy? Now, he may have stepped away. I think that may be what we're seeing here. He may have stepped away after that wreck just to cool down and collect his thoughts.
That is definitely possible. Would you like to see if there's another driver that you wanted to speak with?
Yeah, let's try another one and see if we can dial him up under green, possibly. So I'll move Terry back down. I'll let you pick whoever you want to pick.
Alrighty. I got one. Why don't we ask the leader, our buddy, Zach Linger, what he's up to?
I was just going to say that.
You let me know when to bring him up?
Anytime. Zach Linger, and this is Andrew Cardinale in the PSI TV booth. And buddy, You're up front, you're leading, you just won last night. How does it feel to be back out front of this huge and hungry field at Talladega Superspeedway?
I'm scared. I'm shaking in my wee little boots, quite honestly. I mean, I don't know how these cars draft, and I don't know how the air works on these cars. I got lucky because Brajik left the bottom open a little bit there, and I went for it, and luckily it stuck. But right now, I'm a little scared, to be quite honest with you. Everyone knows that I won last night, and they're hungry to get a win, and I'm pretty sure they don't want to see me win again. So I don't know. We're just gonna have to see how this turns out.
Well, I'll tell you what, as someone who was racing you for that race win last night, I didn't want to see you win last night. But since you're out there, I've got to be rooting for you in that number 85 machine. It's looking like you've got a pretty stout little machine there. And I'll tell you what, you just told 130-plus people that you have your tail between your legs right now at Talladega. And, yeah. But no, it's definitely good to see you out front. And real quick before we ask you who you want to shout out, I'll see if Ryan has any questions for you.
Well, yeah, basically, real quick, Zach, before we say that you guys are double filing up to get back for the last restart, I kind of want to ask you a similar question that I asked Joseph Andujar earlier in his Chevrolet. Have you noticed anything tonight in your Toyota that have been a particular strength to you that maybe another manufacturer hasn't been able to provide?
That's a good one. When me, Bradley, and Spence and Clayton were all on the high side making that 3 wide in that first run, we're making some ground a little bit, and then we just kind of stalled out. And when Clayton was in the wall and I went around him, it was really tough for me to catch up to both Bradley and Spence. I was full throttle and still wasn't able to catch up to him. But right now, if this car has a little bit of air pushing behind it and it's got air in front, this car is a madhouse. Its straight line speed is amazing, inside the corner is amazing, but in this car, if you break a little bit of momentum, it really shifts you backwards. So you got to keep that momentum. You got to keep that in mind. And if you break that momentum just a little bit, it could hurt you in the long run, and especially coming down towards a checkered flag.
All right. Well, before we let you get back to the restart, is there anybody you want to thank out there?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for putting this on tonight, even though it's a preseason race. You guys are dedicating your time. Everyone in NMNTS appreciates that. Everyone watching, thank you for dedicating your time to watching us out here, PSI TV. TN Designs at the moment. I'd like to thank everyone that put paint on this car so far, and we're looking to get a W for them.
All right. Well, we know you know the way to victory lane here at Talladega, so good luck the rest of the way there, man.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I want to be mad about that meme right there, but I can't. That was actually used pretty well, Ryan, so props to you, even though I want to be mad about that meme. But coming to the green flag, Ryan, I'll let you get the call, and then we're going to line up some questions to answer as these guys go back green.
All right. Well, as we just talked about, Zach Lindgren going to lead the field back to the what could be the final restart here. Going to restart at lap 52 of 65. The 85 machine going to lead the way with Jared Beasley to his outside, the 32 of Ryan Broderick behind him, and the number 7 of Tyler Justice up to 4th right now.
And the green flag is out. Zach Lindgren pulling away already, and actually, he's not really pulling away too far. He's got Mark Broderick still on his bumper, but Jared Beasley, Tyler Justice already trying to work that top side. They had the lead into turn 1 for just a moment, but Zach Lindgren's connection actually starting to spaz out a little bit, just like he often does. Don't worry, folks, it's okay. We're best friends. Anyways, as this top line right now is actually starting to form up pretty nicely. You've got two rival teams up there just in the top 4 on that top side that definitely would like to make a statement and beat each other right now. MR Motorsports and Evil Outlaw Motorsports affiliation on the top line, just in front of WFO Motorsports. So these guys are going to get pretty testy as laps wind down here, Ryan.
Yeah, it's going to continue to get more and more aggressive here. We mentioned it's lap 50, coming to lap 53 right now. It's going to be 10 laps to go on about 3 more laps, and you and I both know this as well. When you get down to 5 or less laps to go at these restrictor plate tracks, that usually means that if the caution comes out, the race is over. So at this point, these guys are basically racing as if it's 10 laps to go. It's time to get to the front if you can get there. Now is the time to go right now.
And actually, you mentioning that brings me right into one of the questions I was going to answer. Is there a chance for a green-white checkered in this race? Unfortunately, the chances are very slim. The way it has to happen is if there's a caution with about 8 laps to go, they'll run 5 laps of caution, then restart with about 2 or 3 to go. That's about the only way you can really get it. As Ryan was just mentioning, if there's a caution in the last 5 laps of the race, it ends it all. It's just like the old NASCAR rules where you can finish under caution. Now, there's a couple of other questions. Let's see, I think there was someone asking, need some sponsor money. If that's a sponsorship offered to PSI TV, definitely message us. If it's to one of the drivers, message NMNTS Racing Series. You can talk with them and get hooked up with the necessary connections to sponsor one of these drivers. I think it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, to sponsor one of these guys. All kinds of exposure, and most, if not all, of the BA Graphics Cup Series races in 2018 will be carried on PSI TV, so that's a bonus too. Let's see, and there's also, what are the winnings? Unfortunately, Josh Gardner, in this race, there are no winnings, but in the actual season, there will be some prizes. I believe the prizes for the Cup Series are still to be announced, TBA, so I can't give you actual numbers there. Yeah, and I think that's some of the biggest questions, and these guys have just over 10 laps to go, Ryan. Everything's going to start heating up from here.
Yeah, it's only going to continue to heat up more and more, and right now, you know, these guys are running really hard side by side, and we notice that the majority of the cars up on the top right now are those MR Motorsports teammates, or, I'm sorry, no longer MR Motorsports, the Evil Outlaws, I want to say Gunslinger Motorsports teammates?
I believe those are the two organizations now that came from MR Motorsports in 2017. So definitely a couple of, you know, teammate deals going on right now at the top side, but we see a couple of others poking their noses into this thing right now. Craig Lerman, not part of the big two, I guess, being the WFO Alliance and the MR Alliance, as well as Jared Rashawn, currently, I believe, still a free agent. He is currently in the 8th position. I haven't seen him run one of these races yet, but we're seeing him put on a pretty decent show so far in this number 96.
Yeah, not far behind this main pack, there are 2 cars that have ironically found themselves tandem together. The number 13 of Joseph Andujar and the 77 of Kenny Yance are 2 vets that we had mentioned early on in the field, back here running together a bit far back from the main group. But if something happens here, like an accident late in this race up front, these 2 might be in a good position to steal one late in the race if they can get one more chance at a caution.
Yeah, even if they don't get the win out of it, they're in a great position to, you know, capitalize on whatever happens ahead of them if it's detrimental to that pack. I think, you know, if a caution comes out, if there's a wreck up ahead of them, they're in the best position to communicate with each other and work around whatever happens ahead. I mean, they're in that perfect little pocket right now. They're not too far back, they're not too close. And I'd be watching these guys as these laps wind down. Like I said, if there's an event that goes on that is detrimental to these guys up ahead, we almost saw something there. They're in the perfect spot.
Yeah, and we saw a big move there. Those three Evil Outlaws teammates, I'm just going to say for now, pushing their way to the front. The 32 of Mark Broderick leading the way in that 32 Arizona Green Tee Toyota Camry. Just behind him, his teammate, the 15 of Jared Beasley, and again behind them, their other teammate, Tyler Justice, in the SimSpec PC Sim Towers number 7 machine. So these WFO cars, they're going to have a chance at the 85, 89, and Brad Wilson there at the end of that line. They're going to have to get strung together pretty quick, but their numbers are starting to stack up against them a little bit in this front group.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is what we've been seeing in recent years from the NASCAR Cup cars. And actually, this is a perfect kind of way to get into a question out in the chat. Shannon Sykes asking how close these cars are to the real NASCAR Cup cars. Very close. In fact, this is the closest you will get to a virtual, to a real experience in the virtual world. Be it NASCAR Cup cars, F1 cars, even global rallycross cars now. This is the closest you will get. iRacing is the closest you will get. That's pretty much confirmed by every racing driver out there. Now, that brings me into what I was going to mention. These guys are single file. I mentioned at the top of the show, this race can easily just become a single file train around the bottom side, and that's what these guys have been trying to work away from at iRacing with the NASCAR Cup cars on plate tracks. I think they've been trying to emulate the racing you see on TV in the NASCAR Cup in the NASCAR Cup cars. In the NASCAR Cup Series. I think they've been trying to emulate the two-wide racing that you often see, but there's also this great chance of just turning into a single-file train. You see that even in the real races. So, is this realistic? Yes. Is it realistic for this late in the race? No.
Yeah, probably not as far as being realistic this late in the race, but in terms of everything else, yes, it's fairly close. And bearing in mind, you know, we started this race with 22 cars. We've had a number of cautions. A lot of cars have damage at this point. Therefore, some people at this late in the race, when they're setting the fastest pace they can, may not be able to stay quite up to speed anymore. So that's why I really think we are seeing most of this spread outness. But it looks like a lot of these guys are just starting to wait. We're coming to 5 laps to go this time by. The 32 continues to lead with all of that help behind him, those other 2 cars. But I don't think they're out of the woods just yet. The 85 and the 89, I'm 99% sure, are not going to be content to just ride 4th and 5th here.
An interesting move here, Mark Broderick, to the top side. Mark Broderick just left out to drive. Oh, actually 3 wide. Oh, just, man, that made me clench in every way possible. But Mark Broderick gets shuffled out. He goes to the top side. He's going to go pretty much to the basement of this line here anyway. It's going to go to about 8th place, and it's going to be hard for him to get back in line with the draft. It looks like Jared Beasley shuffled him out, just had to go with the line he was in, had to stay on the bottom, and that was a great move from Jared Beasley. However, that's going to make it even harder now for Tyler Justice and Jared Beasley to defend against the WFO drivers. The one thing they have working in their favor is going to be Jason Alexander right behind Spence Thompson. Now, we've seen Zach Lindgren already poke his green nose out to the outside of Tyler Justice. I guarantee you Spence Thompson is willing to go with him. I guarantee you it's going to happen at some point in the next 4 laps.
Yeah, and really they're going to have to get a group together that's going to go with them on the outside line, and it's going to happen probably, in my opinion, in order to have enough time to do it, 2 to 3 laps to go. They can't wait until the white flag to try to make that move because they'll never get enough momentum and time to try to get around that outside lane.
Yeah, you have to do it at the right time. You can't do it too early, too late. You have to do it at the perfect time, and it's hard to find that perfect time because you never know what's going to happen, and unless you run these just constantly, it doesn't always stick in your mind when to go. Actually, caution in the back, that's going to end the race.
It is, and I don't know where the caution is. I'm trying to find it.
I think it was Clayton Kurtz.
The 69 appears to be slow on the bottom as well. He may have been involved. Yes,
so we'll go
like
to the 69. That's going to be John Barron. We'll watch these next couple of laps here. He was just in front of Jason Burgess and Jimmy McKee. Gonna guess that has something to do with it. DXJ Curtis asking if this is on Xbox or something. This is on the PC, so this is on everyone's computer. Sometimes it's a laptop, sometimes it's a full-fledged racing simulator, but this is on PC. This is not on Xbox, and I don't think it ever will be. But we're watching what is going to bring out the final caution of the night, and really the final move of the night. Jared Beasley will unofficially for now walk away with the win, but we're going to watch here as there's something that goes on in the back, and I really don't know what it is.
It looks like a bump draft gone wrong between the 23 and the 69.
That is definitely what happens. It just came across the screen right there, and I was able to broadcast. I had the pleasure of broadcasting a NORC event last week, the National Online Racing Championship event last week. They're popular from console. Anyways, they did Cup cars at Daytona, very similar to this. Now, the reason I bring that up is we saw this happen twice in about 5 laps, 5 green flag laps last week. We saw cars get to the outside of somebody just by a couple of inches, try and bump them, and it doesn't work. These bumpers are relatively uneven in terms of the curvature of the bumper. So we're going to go to the onboard camera now of Jason Burgess. And I just want to show all the fans out there tonight exactly what I'm talking about. Now, he already has some damage to the Bud Light machine on the right front. That is likely what's going to play into this a tiny bit. Realistically, I don't think it's going to be the biggest effect considering it's not on the dead-on center of the nose of the car. But watch here. He's going to pull up to the 69, gets a great run, and he's just going to get to the right side of the 69 a tiny bit, and that immediately hooks him around as he's trying to push him. And really just, a sloppy bump draft, but it's what you have to try and do in these cars, unfortunately. So I guarantee that wasn't intentional from Jason Burgess, but it was definitely a sloppy bump draft to the 69 car. And unfortunately, that's going to be John Barron done for the night.
Yeah, that's going to take out the 69 there. Just one of those things. They're so far back. They're trying to catch back up to the field, or at least, not lose any more time to the field, and just came down the back straight of the 23. Just caught the 69 a bit too fast and hooked the 69 by accident, it would seem.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, that will end the night here, guys. But stay tuned for some post-race interviews. We're going to definitely at least talk to the top 3, and we'll take one driver request out there from the chat. So, guys, put one in. I'll pick a random driver request to talk to as long as they are in TeamSpeak. I'll give you an idea of who is in TeamSpeak that we can talk to. That's going to be Jason Burgess, Mark Broderick, Bradley Wilson, Joseph Andujar. We could talk to him again if you really want. Trevor Harmon is out there. Looks like Spence Thompson is just outside the top 3. We can see if we can talk to Terry Mason. And then we also have Aiden Young, who we can key up. So, guys, if you want us to talk to one of those drivers that is not already going to be talked to via finishing in the top 3, definitely leave your comments on who you want us to talk to, and we will do just that. We'll pick one of those names and talk to them. So we'll make it 4 interviews tonight. Since we have so many viewers, we'll try and accommodate you guys. And, Corey Walters, thank you for doing so much help in the chat here tonight. It's been a great help to see you answering these questions. Really do appreciate it. Now, real quick, Ryan, I had to get a drink of water. I was starting to really almost die there.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm trying to pull up the stream so that I can watch the requests.
Now, I want to bring up the race summary here tonight from the Talladega Super Speedway. Jared Beasley is going to be your race leader currently and your race winner tonight as the white flag is out and the caution lights are still on. These guys are still double file, and yeah, it's too late at this point. They will end under caution. Jared Beasley will be your winner officially from the Talladega Super Speedway. We've completed so far 64 of the 65 total laps. That's about to change to 65 of 65. Lead changes 17, which is actually kind of low for my expectations here at Talladega, but still a very good race up at the front. 17 lead changes is still a lot compared to any other racetrack aside from Daytona, so it's very cool to see all the parity up front between these guys. And we had 4 cautions tonight. It's going to end up totaling to about 14 laps overall of caution. And Ryan, once more, got to thank you for coming up. I thought it was a really, really good race.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed being back up here again. It's been a blast to be able to kind of make a return to broadcasting again, or commentating, if you will, and appreciate the opportunity to do it with PSI TV, and hopefully we can do it a little bit more in the future. I will say, I'm looking through the chat, and I haven't seen too many requests, other than I did have a suggestion, since earlier on somebody wanted to have us talk with both of the vets. The number 77 of Kenny Yance was able to come out of this thing in the 10th place. That we maybe want to interview him as just like a kudos to him.
Yeah, you know what? We can actually try and see...
Oh, but he's not in TeamSpeak. I've done this twice now. I'm sorry.
We can try and see if we can key him up even through iRacing. We'll try and get to him last. So actually, if you can have him hang around in the iRacing server a little bit after we get to these guys in TeamSpeak, we'll also do Mark Broderick. Since there was somebody who wanted us to talk to Kenny anyways, we'll do 5 after the race then. So we're going to talk to 4 of these guys through TeamSpeak, and then Kenny Yance. So if you can just have him sit tight, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated, so we can talk to him. Definitely want to get his thoughts on getting up to speed with the NMNTS guys, and as they come around the trial for the final time tonight, Jared Beasley will be your race winner from Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama. It's a hometown 1-2 for both Jared Beasley and Tyler Justice. Really cool for them, actually, to go and end up 1-2 in their home state of Alabama, USA. Zach Lindgren going to come home in the 3rd position. Spence Thompson in 4th. Jason Alexander 5th. Jared Washon in 6th. Bradley P. Wilson in the 7th position. Mark Broderick in 8th. Craig Lerman in 9th. And Kenny Yance comes home in 10th.
Yes, and coming home 11th is going to be the number 23 of Jason Burgess. 12th is going to be the 24 of Jimmy McKee. John Barron, after that last accident there, is going to come home in the 13th spot. Billy Hargrove in the 02 is going to finish in 14th. Trevor Harmon in 15th. Aiden Young in the number 9 is going to come home in 16th. Joseph Andujar comes home in 17th. Terry Mason 18th. Clayton Kurtz 19th. And Kenneth Yance is going to round out the top 20.
And for the last couple of cars here, Corey Walters and Alan Westman will round out your field for a total of 22 here tonight. You see both myself and Ryan Daniels as well in 23rd, 24th. We don't count, obviously, since we commentated the race. And Robbie Buckner was race admin tonight in the tower for the NMNTS Racing Series. So got to thank him as well. And real quick, before we get these guys in interviews, Ryan, if you can line them all up in the interview waiting booth, that would be great. But got to shout out our sponsors real quick: Monkey Motorsports, Race Agent, TN Designs, Pit Stop Insider. The list goes on. All of her mobile fleet repair, Scott Brothers and Images, and yeah, I can't even think right now. But there's just so many. You know who you are. A huge thank you to all of you. SimSpec, obviously, the iRacing Weekend Warriors Group, the NMNTS, the Dirt Racing Challenge Series, the All Star Sim Racing Series. I feel like I'm missing someone. There's someone I'm missing, and I'm so sorry. But just so many groups for pouring all of your support into PSI TV. Got to thank you a ton. Now, everyone stick around for some post-race interviews. We're going to get those lined up in just a moment. And Ryan, if you can add Mark. I'll actually add him myself. I'll get him in here.
I got him.
And so we'll get Mark Broderick up first, and Ryan will take it away with Mark.
Okay. Mark Broderick, this is Ryan Daniels in the PSI TV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, we saw you bring it home in the, looks like the 8th place spot tonight. You led a bunch of laps out there tonight, and a really good effort there in that number 32 Arizona Ice-T Chevrolet, or Ice-T Toyota. How was the car tonight?
Oh, it was good. Felt like I had a good shot at winning. I was just kind of hanging around the back trying to avoid getting too much damage, and towards the end there, I was behind my teammate Jared, or I was in front of him, and he started getting real hot. And I figured with 5 laps to go, there was still enough time that I could drop to the back of that small pack of cars and keep him from blowing up, and we could race it out. But the caution kind of ruined it for us there.
Well, definitely a good run there by you and the whole team there. Valiant effort tonight, keeping all your guys' cars up front, and a good job there. Is there anybody else you want to thank here for a really good run here tonight at Talladega?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Nick Foles, 1000.com, Todd Products, and Utz Pretzels.
All right, well, we thank you for your time, and we wish you luck the rest of the season.
Go Birds.
And Mark is definitely, very obviously, a Philadelphia Eagles fan, as you are as well, Ryan. Go Pats. Anyways, we'll get, I believe it was Zach Lindgren next up. We've already talked to him, but we'll bring him back up. Zach Lindgren, this is Andrew Cardinal in the PSI TV booth. Man, TV booth once more. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you. Go ahead.
Well, Zach, we talked to you just a little while ago when you were leader going into the third and final stage. You led for a bit, and immediately it seemed like you were dethroned. Tell us how you were trying to get back in front of those MR guys at the end.
Well, I mean, when I was behind, when I was in front and I saw Mark Broderick and Jared Beasley and Tyler get lined up on the high line, I knew I was pretty much done. Jason Alexander was able to hang with me for a little bit, but didn't seem like he wanted to push. I don't know what his plan was, but, he'd get to my bumper and he'd push me a little bit and he'd back off. But, it is what it is. And as soon as Tyler and them got to the high side and they got cleared, they jumped down. And pretty much what I was trying to do is I was trying to set Tyler up. I was trying to go high to get him to go high, and then I jumped low. Yeah, I was going to try to do the same thing to Broderick. It just didn't come to. I was really hoping we'd race it out towards the end there because I had Spence behind me, so we were planning on doing something right there.
Sounds good, man. Well, you took that 85 to the front. You got some laps led. Looks like you led 8 overall. You started second and finished third. It sounds like you've had a pretty very, very strong, actually, off-season in that WFL machine. Do you think this will translate to the regular season?
Oh, I hope so. Oh, I hope so. Apparently I'm the king of winning non-points races or races that don't count, but I'm hoping this carries over. I'm kind of showing that I'm one of the guys to be feared in this league. I hope I'm showing that, but I hope it carries over. I really do. If not at Daytona, I'm hoping early. I'm hungry for that points win, man. I think everyone in this league knows it, and I know it's soon to come. Just it sucks that I'm kind of using them all up in the preseason.
Well, man, real quick before we let you go, as you continue to look and try and continue the success, really, is there anyone you want to thank for getting your number 85 into P3 tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone that puts on this league, Bradley, and everyone who puts their time, personal time into this league. My teammates at WFO, Bradley, Spence, Robbie, Terry, everyone at Riot over there, everyone at DCI, everyone that pretty much helps me become a better driver each and every week. My sponsors, like I said, PSI TV, PSI, at the moment TN Designs, and Bob Small Engine, everyone that's associated with this 85, you guys for putting it on tonight. The brave men and women overseas protecting this great country. Give me the freedom to race, and that's pretty much all I got for right now.
Sounds great. We'll move you back down, and yeah, best luck to you in the rest of the offseason.
Thank you, bud.
And now, Ryan, I'll let you bring up second place Tyler Justice.
Okay. Tyler Justice is Ryan up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, Tyler, you and your teammates played the strategy perfectly, I would say, on that last restart and that final stage. You guys were able to work together and get to the front. Did you have anything for your teammate there in the 15, or was it just a waiting game and time ran out for you with that final caution?
It was a little bit of both. I think I had something for him, but caution came out there just in time. So I was thinking about stepping out at the last lap, maybe trying something, but I don't know how it would have happened. But yeah, we played that whole race pretty good. Our whole team did. We managed the first stage pretty well, and I ended up taking the checker flag on that first stage. And when we came into pit, I slid through my box and went all the way to the back of the field. And had to work my way back up. And with these cup cars, you can't really suck up real good compared to like the Xfinity or the truck car. But it took me about the rest of the race to get towards back up to the front, and was able to finish second there. So I feel like that's a pretty good finish. And congrats to Jared on getting the win.
Well, definitely a good run by you in that number 7 SimSpec PC Towers Chevrolet SS, and we know this is your home track, so it's got to feel good to come home in second place. And is there anybody else out there you want to thank for a good run tonight?
Yes, sir. I want to thank my team. They were a big part of that we did tonight, so I want to thank them first, and want to thank Bradley for putting this league on, and want to thank you and Andrew in the booth for broadcasting this race.
All right, and we thank you again for your time, and we wish you luck during the regular season, and hope to be able to speak to you again, obviously, in that number 7 SimSpec PC Tower Chevrolet.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
And now, real quick, as you move him back down into the interview waiting booth, we'll bring up our race winner tonight, Jared Beasley. Jared Beasley, this is Andrew Cardinale in the PSI TV interview booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Andrew.
Well, Jared, one heck of a run there for your number 15 crew tonight. We talked to you after the first stage, and you were doing great then, and you continued to do great really all night. You did great. Really, the whole Evil Outlaw Motorsports group, just great job tonight. You guys did really, really, really good controlling this race at Talladega. How does it feel to get this win early in the year? Do you think you can take this success and translate it to some points race wins?
It always feels good to actually be able to win these preseason races, just to try to practice to carry on into the actual race season. So definitely feels good.
Sounds good, man. Well, real quick, just once more, congrats on the win. Is there anyone you want to shout out tonight before we head off for the night?
Once again, the the whole Evil Outlaws crew, Corey, Michael Redding, Mike Bruno, Tyler Justice, all them are guys, Evil Outlaw guys. A heck of a job by them. Got to thank Extreme Lawn Care, JB Paints for the car. That's it, Andrew.
Sounds good. Well, best of luck to you the rest of the season. Now we're going to bring in a special guest appearance, I suppose, in the interview booth, someone we haven't had before. Can you key him up, Ryan?
I don't know if my audio will pick it up through my microphone.
All right, well, we'll see if we can get in contact with him. Kenny Yance, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. This is Kenny Yance.
Well, Kenny, it's a little hard to hear you, man, but you did really good out there tonight. I know you're really, really new to our crew here at the NMNTS, so it's really nice to see you getting accustomed to things, getting up to speed, and we had a couple of requests to talk to the vets in the field tonight, and that includes you, Buds. We had to make sure we got to talk to you tonight. How's it felt out there tonight, and how's it felt really just this whole offseason getting up to speed with us?
I appreciate everybody in the league, letting me run with you guys so early, having iRacing so early. It's been great. Everybody's been real kind, letting me in the league, and everybody's been real friendly. I love running these cars. Been wanting to do it for a long time. I just appreciate the hospitality from Bradley and everybody else running the league, all you guys in the booth. It's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate it.
Sounds good, man. Well, you're definitely welcome here. Hopefully we see more of you in the future. It's definitely been fun to watch you in the number 77 machine. Get out there, get up to speed, and get your feet wet with us. So hopefully we see more of you the rest of this season. Is there anyone you want to thank real quick before we let you go? I just said all of that only over the race. I'm so sorry. I'm used to doing that over TeamSpeak. I'm going to redo that all again. Well, sounds great, Kenny. I actually just said all of that without actually keying up. Yeah, we're getting used to this. Anyways, yeah, it's nice to have you in the group. It's nice to have you racing with us, and hopefully we see more of you throughout 2018. It's been really fun. I was in a couple of those street stock races at Charlotte. It's been a lot of fun watching you get better since then, get up to speed with these guys, and hopefully we see more of you in the late models and the Cup Series.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Hopefully I can get up there and run up front later on this season. I appreciate you guys.
Sounds great. Well, Kenny, real quick, got to thank you for your service in our armed forces. Also thanked Joseph Andujar and you guys. I mean, you got some grande cojones out there. Can't thank you guys enough for doing what's necessary to keep us home safe. So, got to thank you once more for doing that. And real quick, sorry, I totally blanked, but is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, yes, sir. No, it's my pleasure to serve, man. That's what we do every day. I'd like to thank Underfunded Motorsports, Ken Yance, my dad, and John Barron. I'd also like to thank Bradley Wilson for putting on the league and allowing me to run with you guys. And also you guys up there in the booth. You guys doing a great job, and I appreciate it.
Sounds great, Kenny. Well, we'll catch you in future races, hopefully. It's been a lot of fun talking to you and watching you grow in the NMNTS Racing Series. So have a good night, man.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it. You too.
And Ryan, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, tell you what, that was a lot of fun to actually get down and talk with him for a minute. Definitely really cool to see him getting out here and getting his feet wet, like we said, in the NMNTS Racing Series. And apologies for just totally blanking on hitting the button to key up in the race chat and having to redo that part again. But I'm not quite used to doing them over iRacing yet, so we'll see if we can get that sorted out in the future. But Ryan, once more, huge thank you for doing this with me tonight. It was a lot of fun to actually get to commentate a race with you for the first time. And yeah, hopefully you're along along the ride for more of these races in the future, because yeah, I had a lot of fun. And hopefully one day you get to join Brendan and Zach up here in the booth. Hopefully not all at the same time. 4 sounds like a little too much, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Got to thank you for coming up.
Yeah, I mean, thank you obviously for the opportunity to come back and come up here and do this again. It's been a long time since I was doing any sort of commentary or anything like that for races, and it's nice to be able to have the opportunity to do it again with PSI TV and with you, Andrew. Look forward to competing with you this season, racing with you as my teammate and everything else in the truck series, and definitely looking forward to calling more of these races with you guys if I can. Hopefully we'll be able to work something out and we can do this a bit more often.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more races, both in the NMNTS Racing Series and all of our rest of our leagues. I'm going to try and run through them all now. The virtual racing .net, I believe, will be our Sunday morning league. The super late models from Europe, not from America, from Europe. So that's going to be really interesting. The first race is this Sunday morning at Southern National Motorsports Park. So tune into PSI TV on YouTube for that race. That's going to be our exclusive streaming series on YouTube. The rest are uploads to YouTube. Also going to have the NMNTS Super Late Models on Sunday night, the NMNTS Cup Series on Tuesday night. Nothing just yet on Wednesday or Thursday, although we may be starting up a podcast. If you want to see that, let us know. Maybe starting up a podcast to catch up with all of the racing that we broadcast and more. Looks like we're going to have the Dirt Racing Challenge Series at least for the foreseeable future on Friday nights, along with the iRacing Weekend Warriors group on Saturday nights. So we've got a pretty full schedule for 2018. Hopefully you're along for the ride with us. And yeah, once more, going to thank all of our sponsors out there. It's been a lot of fun tonight, and we'll be looking forward to more races in the future. This has been the NMNTS Racing Series, more specifically the BA Graphics Cup Series off-season race from Talladega Superspeedway. This has been Andrew Cardinale and Ryan Daniels in the booth. Everyone have a great night.